त्यागेश्वरं रामकृष्णं शारदां मातृरूपिणीं विवेकानन्दमाचार्यं नत्वा वक्ष्यामि शुद्धये योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च भैषजेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि. In our last class we discussed the three disciplines which form part of the yamas. Total 5 disciplines clubbed together as yamas. The last 3 we discussed in our last class. So these 3 were there. Asteya generally translated as non-stealing. Non-stealing is a very gross, I have to say, translation. In that sense, we are all practicing it, asteya. We don't go and steal things. But the refinement of that idea, Bhashyakara gives, not taking what rightfully doesn't belong to us. That is asteya. Non-stealing is not just going and grabbing things. Steya doesn't mean that. But accepting or taking what rightfully doesn't belong to us is theft. Theft is that. Which doesn't belong to us rightfully, taking that is theft. And to not, that is the external part. And Vyasa gives the internal part, saying that aspruha, not even desiring what doesn't rightfully belong to us. That is proper or complete asteya, complete non-stealing. So not only physical but psychologically, mentally also, we should not desire for things that don't rightfully belong to us. This is where the matter of introspection comes and all that comes. So we should be careful, alert in our conduct and behavior, wherein we should be watchful whether we are the desire of things which don't belong to us, which don't rightfully belong to us, whether it is cropping up. We may not follow up on that desire today for various factors, but if we let that desire in the mind, some day, some point in time, it will force us to do things. That's why it has to be nipped in the bud. And that's why perhaps Vyasa mentions the term aspruha, even not aspiring or desiring things that don't belong to us, rightfully don't belong to us. That is the asteya. Brahmacharya was control of the carnal desires in all their shades and hues. So at the levels of all the indriya perceptions in our mind and of course physically, controlling those carnal desires. That is the brahmacharya. And the third was aparigraha, which is non-acceptance of gifts. That is, even when it comes to things that belong to us rightfully, we should be careful how many we want to accept, how many we want to take, how many we want to gather, that kind of thing. And this also has a psychological part. Vyasa says that there may be things which rightfully belong to us, but there is always this dosha, there is always some kind of pain involved in earning them and then protecting them. Arjana, Rakshana, Kshaya, when those things deteriorate, then there is pain, and then there is sangha, we get attached and we want more and more. Like that, there are defects in gathering things. So gathering minimum number of things is kind of aparigraha. Even whatever rightfully we own, rightfully we deserve, even then if it is beyond our requirements, we should not take it. That is aparigraha. We should not accept it. We should not take it. We should not gather it. That is aparigraha. So this is where the concept of need and greed comes. So we should stay within the boundaries of our needs. There is no, once you cross that boundary, there is no end to where greed will take us. The sky is the limit. So from individual to individual. So the aparigraha is kind of keeping a simple life, keeping our life simple. Keep whatever is necessary, yes, definitely. But beyond that, it makes no sense to keep things. So anyway, that is aparigraha. These were the three remaining yamas, and all the five of them together were discussed. And then Patanjali, so to say, sets the bar very high, very high ideal he places. When he says, ete, when these, jati, desha, kala, niyama, aparichinna, sarabhoma, mahavat. When these are practiced, these yamas, anavachinna, unrestricted, by jati, desha, kala, niyama, then they become sarvabhauma, universal, and then they become, or they can be called mahavratam. The concept is like this: jati means species, desha is place, desha is place, kala is time, and samaya is occasion or a sense of duty or purpose, like that. So our practice of these yamas is generally restricted by either of these. It's either restricted by species or by desha, place, or by kala, time, or niyama, like that. But he says one has to practice these unrestricted by any of these. And then these become sarvabhauma, universal, and they can be called mahavratam. They raise to the level of mahavratam. Our practice. When it is practiced, and in the last time towards the end we saw Vyasa, the commentator gives the example of a fisherman. A fisherman wants to practice ahimsa. He says that, look, I will practice ahimsa everywhere except when I am catching fish. So here his ahimsa, so to say, is restricted by, or he gives a concession on the basis of jati. The jati here, it could be either his own profession of being a fisherman or the species of the fish. Either way it could be interpreted. So he gives a concession that only fish I will catch and kill, no other, I won't engage in ahimsa anywhere else. So his practice of ahimsa is kind of restricted or by jati. But the same fisherman says, okay, I have given myself a concession that I will kill fish, I will catch fish, but I want to refine it and say that I won't catch fish when I am in Tirtha Kshetra. So desha. He restricts that concession, improves upon his own performance, his own practice, and says, when I am in a Tirtha Kshetra, I will not catch fish. So he has improved upon his own performance. Then he says that, look, it doesn't matter even if I am not in Tirtha Kshetra, but if it's a holy day, a Chaturdashi, or some such Ekadashi, whatever, I will not catch fish. No, whatever concession he had given to himself, he is restricting that concession and improving his own adherence to ahimsa. So he says, on holy days I won't. Like that, jati, desha, kala, holy day, ekadashi and all that. And then comes samaya. Finally says, I won't catch fish any day, anywhere and all that, except if it is for a holy man or for a holy occasion. So that is a samaya, his sense of duty or purpose, like that. So these are the various ways in which these vratas are practiced. But these can be called, such kind of a practice, which is avachinna, which is limited by jati, desha, kala, samaya. This kind of practice can be called as simple vratam or anuvratam. But when it is unrestricted by any of these, that is, he takes a vow, I will not kill anybody, anywhere, anytime, for any purpose, then it becomes mahavrata. And that is the ideal that Patanjali has placed before us. That our vrata, our anusthana of these yamas should be taken to the level of Mahavrata. That is the ideal. Now, I know it's a very high standard, very high bar, but that gives us a direction. And we were just some time back we said Anuvrata or a simple vrata. That is how we start our practice of various measures in which we take to control ourselves. In our religion, there are so many vratas. Ekadashi vrata is there. And then now Shivaratri will come. Navaratri people fast. Shabarimala, when they go for 1 month, they will follow certain rules and disciplines. So many vratas are there. We can call these anuvratas or simple vratas. These are not Mahavrata, because these are restricted by certain occasions or certain kala. But we have to understand the practice of these in the backdrop of Mahavrata. See, there is this concept of Mahavrata, and our adherence to these anuvratas or simple vratas should be a preparation, so to say, or it should take us in the direction of Mahavratas. These are meant for that. When we understand this, that we are doing this because we can't take this vrata to the level of Mahavrata, so we are giving a concession to ourselves and restricting their practice to certain days and all that, certain occasions and all that. But we have to take for their practice for a longer period. For a long, when I say longer period, it's not just the kala. All these four come into picture: jati, desha, kala, and samaya. So, in all these instances where we give concessions, we should be able to free ourselves from all such concessions and practice that vrata in a sarvabhauma way. That is the ideal. Since we cannot do it, we are starting with anuvrata. Otherwise, what it happens is it becomes a fasting and feasting. You fast and then next day you are feasting. Because we have fasted, next day we feast. So, someone takes a vow that on Ekadashi day I will not speak. I will observe mauna. Now, that's it. That is an exercise to control our organ of speech and also organ of mind. Unnecessary talking. Maybe that person has a habit of talking unnecessarily. So he or she takes up this vrata. Ekadashi day I will not speak. Now any vrata, we understand it is meant to check certain tendencies which are unnecessarily spending our energies. So certain tendencies which we feel we should control. To control those, these vratas are undertaken. So this person has a tendency of blabbering and over-speaking and all that. Whole of day is gone, but the next day, that person talks double because there is all the pent-up energy. Now that is not following this vrata in the right spirit. When we undertake this practice of anuvratas, or practice of vrata simple, whatever we have practiced, it should linger in our life, in our behavior, some more time after that particular day or occasion is past. Because we want it to take to a next level. So if we keep this direction of Mahavrata, so that is where we have to go. If I have too much of tendency to talk, then what is the ideal? Ideal is at all times, in all places, I talk only what is necessary. That is the ideal. I cannot do it, so one day I say I will not speak, I want to control. Next day that mauna should linger on. May not be 100%, but some percent of it. It should change my behavior. When we practice these vratas, anuvratas, they should change our behavior after it is over. After that time or occasion is over, they should leave some impact on our mind. And lot of urge for eating food and overstuffing oneself, then fasts. Now that tendency to overeat should get curbed next day, to some extent at least. I'm not saying you should fast whole week. If he or she has fasted on Ekadashi day, he should be able to, that desire to control and the confidence to control the overeating and desire to eat, that should linger, so to say. And it should change the behavior of that person. Because the idea is to eat moderately throughout the life, for any occasion, on any occasion, in any place, with anybody, eat moderately. That is what is, so to say, Mahavrata in this. Without any exceptions, we should eat moderately. We are not able to do it, so we start from where we are. And then we keep on improving ourselves. So that's why these vratas are there. And that is the other aspect of it. As another commentator says, there is always gradation in the practice of these yamas. Gradation in the sense, killing a microbe is not same as killing an insect. Killing an insect is not same as killing a vegetable. Killing an animal. Killing an animal is not same as killing a human being. Hurting a human being mentally is not same as hurting the human being by my speech or by act. So there is this gradation in every following of yama. There is this gradation. And we should try to improve our adherence to these disciplines. This is the practice of these yamas, because this Sarvabhauma Mahavratam is the ideal. He has placed it before us. And we should try as much as possible in our life to move towards that ideal where we really transform our vrata into a Mahavrata. Of course, there are certain things which commentators again have said, like ahimsa. Ahimsa, as a Mahavrata, it's practically impossible. You breathe, you drink water, you are engaging in ahimsa. So one of them says the solution yogi finds for practicing ahimsa is not to be born again. Not to be born again is the only solution to practice ahimsa as the Mahavrata. There is no other solution. So all yogis' efforts to practice ahimsa are oriented towards not being born again. I have a scope, I have a possibility to turn these vows, to turn these vratas into Mahavrata in my life. It is possible. Unlike ahimsa, this is possible. One can be truthful under all circumstances, on all days, at all places, with all people. One can be truthful. And also aspruha, not seeking or aspiring or desiring things that don't belong to one. Anyone, these are kind of really universally possible for all people, irrespective of their vocation. When it comes to brahmacharya, for monk, it is possibility. Absolute brahmacharya as a Mahavratam is possibility. For householder, there will be some limitations. When it comes to aparigraha, again, it varies from householder to monk. The monk's requirements will be very few. But that line will be there where the need is separated from the greed. A monk may cross that line. There is a chance if that monk is not very careful, he will start accumulating things which are beyond his needs. So it's possible. So and equally possible is a householder who keeps things only that are necessary. So this is something which we have to introspect, draw our own lines, where is the line where the need is divided, where the need ends and greed begins, so to say. But these are possible. It is possible for both householder and grihastha to live on minimum necessary things. So that's how this practice of when we think in practical terms, how much and is possible. This is what we find. Ahimsa as Mahavrata seems impossible. Satya, Asteya, they seem possible. Brahmacharya is relative, and Aparigraha is also relative. So between householder and sannyasi. So this is how the concept is. But the point is that we should keep striving towards in these and then go to the next step. It is not that. But the more we improve our score on these counts, more will be our benefits in the next yogangas. So that is the concept of these yamas and the concept of Mahavrata. The next sutra talks about niyamas, that is the do's. These are vidipar. The yamas were niyamaha, that is the sutra. Niyama, what are niyamas? So he says shuchi, that is purity, santosha, contentment, tapa, austerity, swadhyaya, that is study or self-study, and ishvara pranidhana, that is devotion to God. These are niyamas. These are the do's. One should do these. So five yamas and 5 niyamas. Couple of points which will strike immediately. This last 3 of niyamas, tapasvadhyaya, ishvara pranidhana, these were referred to in the beginning of this chapter when the sutra said tapasvadhyaya, ishvara pranidhanani kriya yoga. The Patanjali's concept of karma yoga, kriya yoga, was defined as this. These 3 disciplines together, tapasvadhyaya, ishvara pranidhana, austerity, study and devotion to God. The same concept comes here again. And the commentators say that nor the adhamadhikaris, not the superior ones, not just the beginners, but the middling ones. So for them, he just picks up 3, tapasvadhyaya, ishvara. So the concept may be same, but their involvement, their commitment will be different. And if you go one step further, Ishvara Pranidhana was referred to in the Samadhi Pada itself. Ishvara Pranidhanat Va. So that was one of the aids to attain Samadhi. Ishvara Pranidhana. That was meant for superior aspirants, Uttamadhikaris. So the same Ishvara Pranidhana, Uttamadhikari can practice, Madhyamadhikari practiced, Adhamadhikari also can practice. So this devotion to God has a special place, so to say. It is advised for all the aspirants, whether we are just the beginners or we are a middling ones or we are Uttamadhikari, superior aspirants. For all the 3, Ishvara Pranidhana was prescribed. So these are the 5. One is Shuchi, Santosha, that is purity, contentment, Tapas, that is austerity, Svadhyaya, study, and Ishvara Pranidhana, which is devotion to God. In our next class, we will take up one by one. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.